It was third time lucky for the UCT Ike Tigers as they finally became Varsity Cup champions after an 11-year wait. And then at the Standard Bank Easter Festivals, Kes beat Rondebosch and St. Stithians beat Michaelhouse. We talk about all the Easter Festivals action and build up with our picks for this coming weekend tonight on Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. Welcome to another episode of Rugby on 216. We're at the spectacular St. Stithians College where the Easter Festival has been going this weekend. We're at the beautiful Baytop Field. Cooks and I are in our wonderful Under Armour SuperSport schools jerseys, and Split, you've gone out of your way to find a jersey that you didn't have last week, but now you're wearing very proudly.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing day of schoolboy rugby yesterday. A couple of surprise results, I suppose, but then one that truly stands out, and I'm sure we'll get there. But it is with a sense of pride that I wear the King Edward VII school jersey in this shoot.
Well, the funny thing is, hello Alex, hello Sport. The funny thing is, I have a jersey. So yesterday, when Kes pulled off that great result, some of the players like, where's your jersey? Where's your jersey? I was like, guys, when I wear it, you lose. So I'm not going to wear it. So I was like, I saw it in the cupboard. I was like, should I bring it? So I was like, no. But then funny enough, JP beating Selborne yesterday, we'll get there. I see Drickers for the Fenton, and he goes, Cooks, thank goodness you finally picked us. So I don't know where I stand with these.
I don't know.
With this jersey thing. Like, I don't know where I am.
I'm going to tell you what. A week ago, I thought I knew everything about schoolboy rugby in South Africa. I have been properly humbled this weekend.
No.
Okay,
don't rush us, please.
All right, okay.
We'll get there because I want Alex. I want my crowning moment.
It needs to be spectacular.
I didn't sleep last night because of this. Waiting for this moment.
Okay,
I know you didn't sleep, but it wasn't because of this. It's Easter.
We'll get to that, but let's start. Let's get it out the way. Then you're wearing a Kes jersey. Kes beat Rondebosch by 20 points to 17 at the Kes Festival. And a lot of people saying it's a surprise result. I chatted to some of the Rondebosch guys a week ago. They were worried about coming to Kes, playing in front of the Kes crowd, but they weren't themselves.
Yeah, they're not worried anymore.
No.
So that's a good thing. The worries are over for them.
Yeah.
It is a surprise result. It is a massive shock result because of what has gone before. Bosch came in as overwhelming favourites.
Yeah.
Whether it is on Kes's home turf, whether it is at their festival where they traditionally play very well on the Saturday. Remember that. The sort of King Edward VII school's resurgence or them announcing themselves on the big stage was a game against Paul Boyeseye at their own festival a few years ago where they nearly shocked them. So they traditionally play very well on that Saturday, and they did again. I think they were tactically superior. They made the game a bit stop-startish, which does not suit the attacking style of Bosch, and they countered Bosch's big players. And this is just what I hear, because I was next door at St. John's at the same time and with a Hilton Kingswood College game. One that we both got wrong, by the way. But this is what I hear, and this is from, so tactically they were obviously very astute. And you've got to take your hat off to the whole structure of King Edward School, because the last 4 weeks was incredibly tough on them. Physically demanding with a fixture list, emotionally draining with the results that they did get. So it is one of the comebacks in schoolboy rugby. We didn't make mention of scores. There were big scores against them. and one feared for their season at a stage. But they got one over Rondebosch, and here's the key. Remember, that Rondebosch side, beat in a 20-minute aside game, drew with Paul Gymnasium. That Rondebosch side beat Oakdale Landbou, who in turn beat Paul Boyseye. So does it show that schools are getting closer to each other? Not necessarily. Does it show that there's always an upset on the cards, and if somebody pitches up, if somebody gets the emotions right, because remember, you can also be over emotional on your home field at your home festival. I think Kes was pumped, but pumped just enough.
Yes.
And amazing result.
I think Cooks, you were saying, for being, from a Rondebosch point of view, quite a frustrating game. Some of the tactical decisions. Also, that's why Sput saying a bit smarter from Kes in that regard. Some points left out there.
Yeah, I think the frustrating thing for Rondebosch is, there's a lot of points left out there. Just some of the decision making, I think, from the leadership group, will probably something the coach will speak about. Yeah, again, having a line out to sort of, and then guys going for winging, take it out on your own 5, and you're probably thinking maybe set up with a 12 or give it to Randall John Davis as a walking truck there to set up and then exit, and having a chance to go for poles 30 meters out in front, and you're taking one in the line out, and then small things, hooker, great more peels off, goes for a big swan dive, goes for a dive, and the ball gets hit out, knock on. So all the small little things, and if you on a King Edward side, those are the things that you want to go for you. Whereas like if you run a Bosch, you come in a game like that, those are the things that you sort of need to go, but and they don't go. What happens is then King Edward comes alive, the crowd comes alive, the All Boys come alive. So for every mistake Rondebosch was making, all it did was Kes going, another box ticked, another small battle won. Yep. And then at the end of the day, you win enough small battles, you win the war.
But let's move on. But great for Kes, I think, like you guys are saying, good for their season that they've got this win. Rondebosch will look to bounce back against Paul Boys next week at home. We'll talk about that. Alexander's
still a young man. So the one thing that he needs to learn is that the wheel turns.
Always turns.
So, it's very abrupt where he says enough about that. So we've been singing the praises, and both of us, off this Rondebosch side, we have. It is a quality side. This is but a speed bump, I believe. A massive one at that. Yeah. But as players, the individuals will be better for it. They will learn that every game is a big game at this level.
Yes.
You cannot, I don't think they took it lightly, but I think they felt they would be in control.
Yeah.
And when they weren't in control, they didn't quite know how to handle that. So a big lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one they're going to take into next week. We'll talk about that fixture a little bit later on. But then the previous show's 3 calls that you guys made. Kingswood played Hilton. You both said Kingswood. Hilton won by 33 points to 16.
That was a lot closer than that scoreline, but yes.
Heltmacar Weinberg. Heltmacar won by a point, 18-17. You both said Heltmacar, so you got that. Then Selborne Jeppy. Jeppy won 38 points to 17. Sput, you said Selborne, and Cooks, you said Jeppy, so you went against the normal Northern Eastern Cape reference. But what it does mean is that Cooks got 2 out of 3, and Sput, you got 1 out of 3. So the red cap has to be handed over to Cooks for the first time in very dramatic fashion. He's been waiting weeks. This is the 8th episode.
His head is already swollen because of the fact, but
it's so comfortable. This cap on my head.
It is a good fit.
It's been a good fit. Alex. It's been a long season so far for Cooksy. Probably lessons learned. The thing is, I dug deep. I didn't give up. There's a point I looked in the mirror and I said, "Do I know schoolboy rugby?" I asked myself this question, and I finally had an answer. I do. Yes, I do.
The funny thing is, I asked myself that question this morning now. I went and I stood and I said, listen, there's been people sort of telling you, Sput, that you know the game of schoolboy rugby. And now I'm starting to realize that that's just close friends, feeling pity on me, telling me, listen, you really know the game. Because 1 out of 3, that's a 33%. So that's a fail in any man's book.
It's not good enough.
And the funny thing is...
I've been there, 1 out of 3.
The funny thing is, I was in commentary at St. John's while Heltmacar was playing Weinberg. And realizing that I'm on my way to 0 out of 3, I was actually watching on the app while commentating a different game. I was watching, and I saw, so this was the emotions. I saw I saw Helpmekaar slot a penalty to take a 2-point lead, or to take a 1-point lead rather, and then as time was over, Weinberg got a kickable penalty. And they were lining up the shot. And I just tapped my fellow commentator and said, "You go, boy." and I watched this kick. And luckily he missed it. And I was like, thank goodness for 1 out of 3.
Yeah. Do you want to know what it's done to the averages?
Yes, please.
So, Cooks, yours has stayed pretty stable. It's gone from 71% just down to 70%. Because you only got 66, so it's still below your average. So it's gone down.
But you dropped.
You win, but you don't go down as much as Sput, who's gone from 92 odd to 82.
That's exactly what I want.
So you're getting closer.
Away.
Yeah,
you're getting
are.
closer.
Yeah,
I am chipping away.
I'm seriously nervous about which picks we're going to do this week.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of them, so that could go in favour. It could go against you guys. But we've spoken a bit about those 3 games. Anything else standing out for them? I mean, there's been so much Easter activity, so we'll get to some of the other games. But just on those 3.
No, on those 3, I'm happy. I'm happy. I was almost jumping the gun to the next fixtures, but you'll mention that. On those 3, Kingswood, disappointing. Because they had so many opportunities, Cooks, in that match. And it was also the last game of head coach James Winstanley. Fairy tale story for him, moving on to the Bulls to join his lifelong friend Piwe Molombo, they'll be heading up the Currie Cup squad. You'll also be heavily involved with the juniors, James alongside Wessel du Plessis, former great college coach. So, I actually had a braai with Wes last night, and he's looking forward to working with James. James is a great guy, and probably not the fairy tale ending for the boys and James that they would have hoped for, but Hilton was very solid in that match. Like I say, chances are plenty for Kingswood, so 33-16 doesn't tell the whole story, but they'll be disappointed with that result.
I think for me, Helpmekaar is the big story for me. Looking at the results, great St. Stephen's Festival for them. 2 out of 2, great win over Bishops, and then a win over Weinberg, granted it out. I mean, they've had a tough start to the year. I mean, it's getting tougher when they go to Wilderclover, but I'm sure for me, Helpmekaar, they're leaving this Easter Festival not knowing they're in a good place, knowing the structure's in a good place. And sometimes all you need is to get that win. Yes, they may have played a bit harder opposition than Noord-Suid and like going down to an Oakdale, and but for them, and even played a Gasfontein. But sometimes it's just nice to win one.
I do tend to think, though, they still haven't quite hit their straps, because it is a very good Helpmekaar team.
Young side as well.
Young side, but a very good side. And they've got the experience of guys like Tyler Axe, and so I still think they are one that's going to cause an upset somewhere. Helpmekaar College, and it wouldn't be, to me, an upset. It'll almost be them reaching their full potential.
Okay, well, that's something to look forward to then. But you mentioned when you were talking about that Weinberg game that you were in commentary, and one of the games you were in commentary, Affies Noord-Suid, 45 points to 27, but a lot closer than that scoreline suggests. And then some other ones to throw out to you guys. Another one that I think was maybe not necessarily expected, St. Stithians, 27 points to 19 over Michaelhouse. Westville pumped RG Janssen 36-5. That's been a fantastic weekend of matches.
Starting off Affies Noord-Suid, Noord-Suid is quality. We were wondering, when they pushed Great College all the way, whether that was a sort of emotion-inspired, once-off great performance. They showed in the very next game against Paul Roos. No, it wasn't. And it's such a tough season for them, because imagine this. We're all singing their praises, but they haven't won yet.
Yeah.
They lost 34-28 to Garsfontein in a sort of pre-season warm-up game behind the curtains. SuperSport Schools wasn't even there, so then nobody was there. And then they lost by 2 points to Great College, by 7 to Paul Roos. Now they lose by sort of 18 against Affies, but it's scary to think that the score was 31-27 with 6 or 7 minutes to go. Affies scored twice very late. And it has to be mentioned that Noord-Suid was heavily burdened by injuries before the game. They had like 4, 5, 6 changes of personnel, positional switches, second side players coming in to fill the voids. So they just ran out of puff. But at 31-27, I tell you what, they've got a fantastic side. But the general of Affies is starting to stamp his authority, Ruben Groenewald. I've been at the start of the season, I said he's a brilliant kicker out of hand. At times I felt he was too deep. I'll tell you what, I watched him yesterday. He is a great distributor of the Gilbert. He puts players into space. He understands how to kick into space. He is the form flyer from South Africa, Ruben Groenewald. And it's going to take something special to unseat him. In Liema Nela, Hilton is a very good 10. In Praise Matsila, Kingswood College have a very good 10. But Ruben Groenewald at this stage, with his game nous, miles ahead for me to the rest of the pack as fly-offs in South Africa. If the SA Schools side was selected tomorrow morning, Groenewald would probably captain it. You know, he's the captain of Affies. They're having a great season. He's pulling the strings, and he's a phenomenal talent.
I must say, for me, the Westville side for me is probably it's incredible again. I mean, 2 words, Zikatela Siaya. He may be the star.
2 very impactful
and
words.
But it's just a well-rounded outfit. It's a fantastic one for them. It's a well-rounded outfit. Coach Bazander Erasmus is taking over as head coach, taking over, you know, when Jobs was up here now at KS, a good group. Dusty Nobles is head of rugby there. So, you know, and they've done a good job. I mean, it's been a fantastic start, and it's a good group. They're good on 16 side last year. Then you're adding good pack, and they're probably the true form sides. I mean, with the North is still knocking on the door, but obviously Westville are beating Northwood. So, I mean, Westville again, they just keep rolling on. I mean, great festival at Grand, and that form continues to course them.
Yeah, and there's been so much across the Easter Festival, across the weekend. There's too much for us to talk about, but the good thing is that all the write-ups and all the results you can find on SuperSport Schools Plus. Just Google SuperSport Schools Plus and you'll find all the results from the Easter weekends. When we come back, we're going to be building up to the fixtures coming up this week, and then later on we've got the Impossible Truth, so stick around for that.
We were lost for 3 days. I told him to ration the water, but he somehow went and drank every last drop in the first hour. I have a family.
We urge the public to remain calm. There is no leak. However, we have identified a thirsty individual who's responsible for this water crisis in the Western Cape.
You almost left Brackenfell for Waterkloof just because of the name. Almost.
Jason, is this true?
Yeah, that's true. I am thirsty.
Some things you don't choose. They choose you. A name, a history, a legacy that came long before you and will last long after you're gone. It's not just about the game. It's the moments that shape you. The early mornings, the long bus rides, the chants that never fade. The friendships, the rivalries, the feeling of being part of something bigger. It's a belonging, something you carry with you wherever you go. Because once you're a part of it, you always will be.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. We're sitting at the beautiful St. Stithians today, and we've been talking about the Easter festivals. It's now time to build up to an incredible weekend of rugby. I've got 6 picks I want you guys to make. So that's double last week, so it can go doubly as well or doubly as bad as it did.
Can you please start with the guy who had the red cap? The guy who was fantastic last week, please.
Okay, well, I'll start.
I'll set the tone, Spooty.
I think I'm just going to go everything that he says against it.
Saturday the 26th, we're going to be kicking off with SDC Noord-Suid, Nelspruit, Waterkloof.
Can you please go back to sport? Yeah, I think it's. I'm with Nelspruit. In Nelspruit, they had a good win last year over Waterkloof, and listen, I mean, Nelspruit, it's tough. It's tough to go up there. It's going to be a tough one. I think Waterkloof probably not having the season, the start of the season that they'll be hoping to have. But yeah, the Norfolk Cup, I think one thing we've learned is home ground advantage matters. So I'm going to go Nelspruit.
I'm going to join you. Reason being, Nelspruit had a good St. John's Easter Festival. They snuck a close one against Welkom Gymnasium. No mean feat. Welkom Gymnasium, always competitive. 34-31 very late. And then they beat College.
Very good win over College.
22-13. At a stage in the second half, they were only 13 on the field, Nelspruit. And they hung on for dear life. They've got an 8th man called Vaughan van Sail, who demolishes. Fantastic player. He was very good last year already. He's grown. He's bigger. He perhaps carrying a few extra Ks that he can lose, but he's a fantastic player. At home, I'm going to go Nelspruit.
Okay, well then you guys are in agreement for the first one. I'm trying to decide what order I'm going to give them to you in, but I think I'm going to pick and choose. So then let's go Pretoria Boys, Maritzburg College. Both having defeats on the weekend, but also having moments of brilliance.
It's getting harder by the week. Where's the game? In Pretoria.
Pretoria Boys, yeah.
Oh, it's a tough one. I mean, obviously Pretoria Boys going down to the Sons of the Leopard, Graham. I think they bounce back. I think they bounce back at home. I mean, if you're Pretoria Boys All Boy, you must be so shocked. You first beat the Hoodoo in 12 years' time over King Edwards, and now this result. But I think Maritzburg coming up here. I mean, they're also probably not having the start they've wanted, but again, new coach, new structures. But yeah, I'm gonna go Pretoria Boys at home.
College.
Ooh.
Narrowly.
All I'm saying is he's picked College for 2 matches already this season. He's got both wrong.
If they start now and decide we were supposed to pick them.
I think College bounces back because they had opportunities against Nelspruit, and they were very good against the Golden Lions Invitational side, and they were very good earlier in the year against DHS. The scoreboard doesn't say that. I think College bounces back and beats Pretoria Boys Eye, although Pretoria Boys Eye was so good against the Amantveld. Yes, they were rather below par against Graham. So yeah, College narrowly.
Okay, cool. We've got the sense. I like it. It makes it more interesting. Next week, it means the percentages are going to change differently, unless of course it's a draw. Rondebosch, Paul Boys.
Paul Boys.
Paul Boys.
Thanks, guys.
It will be a tough one. No. Rondebosch will definitely bounce back. It is a quality outfit. I think it's going to be Paul Boys narrowly. I think Rondebosch will definitely bounce back from what's happened up here in Joburg. And listen, what happened to them here against King Edward, it probably won't happen again to them this season. I think they won't let. I mean, like as a coach has said, they went against their values against King Edward, but I think from there they'll bounce back. But I think it's going to be very, very tight by Paul Boys.
It's going to be a war of attrition, and I agree 100% with Cook's sentiments. Bosch will be much better, and especially at home. I mean, they're a tough nut to crack at home, but this is a good Paul Boys Eye side. Yes,
bounce back from tough day on the farm,
and they had that tough day on the farm and nearly came through. It's tough for different reasons at Bosch, for travelling sides than it is at the farm, and I think for that reason, this Boys Eye side might have enough. I think they might prove slightly more physical than the Bosch side. Yes, Bosch has some physical specimens, all right, around the park. In Randall John Davids, in a Josh Neal, in a Fashveld, But I think across the board, the physicality of Boys Eye might shine through.
I'm so excited to see the Tinky Ains on Saturday. It's going to be electric. It's going to be full. I think it's going to be amazing here. I'm just glad I don't have to call that game. Then next up, Affies Gasfontein at Affies. And I guess, you can't go against the jersey.
Affies. North of the Vaal River, one of the matches of the season every year when they do play. They always push each other. There's a bit of something personal in the game as well when Affies plays Gasfontein. Gasfontein, great outfit. Lost by 2 against Paul Roos. They've got Proppie van der Berg at number 3, who's sort of the talk of the town. The amount of work he gets through, the way he's at scrum time, he dominates packs. But Affies has got an answer in Royal Kriya and Dion Bottas. They're 2 front rows who's been really good as well. The difference, Ruben Groenewald at 10 on his home field. He'll control it. He'll make sure Affies plays in the right areas of the field. And I think the work rate of their pack of forwards with Luan Potgieter, Elwin Jansen van Vuren, Albert Smith, and then Stefan McDonald, the eighth man. That combination as a loose trio is really starting to hit their straps. So I think Affies by 5 to 7.
It's going to be tight. We're talking about Stephen McDonald. He was unbelievable against Noord-Suid. It's unbelievable against Noord-Suid. He's been incredible at 8 at the moment. It's funny. I'm going with Affies as well. I think, but very close. I think Affies has sort of put themselves. They're probably the form side at the moment. I mean, that's the way the season's going. It's changing here. But coming from Noord-Suid, and he hasn't gone down to boys out, but went down to Parkham. Got the draw there, and now against Noord-Suid got a good performance. They seem like things are starting to tick over slowly but surely. So it's tough. I mean, Affies at home, probably I think their first home game after their field sort of just been done up again. So yeah, it's tough for me to go against Affies at home.
King Price Derby Series match as well, eh?
So it's going to be on SuperSport Schools Channel 216. Another match that will definitely be on SuperSport Schools Channel 216 during the day. Paarlgem traveling to Bloemfontein. Grey College, Paarlgem. Big call, guys.
It's not like easy calls this week, eh? Paarlgem, I think is going to go to Bloemfontein. Sorry, Sports Bobby and Yanni. I still love you guys. Don't you worry.
That's a big call.
I think Paarlgem's going to go down to Bloemfontein and get the job done. It's a tough place to win in Bloem. I think this Paarlgem outfit, we've spoken a lot about it. I think they were probably just as frustrated that they were a minute away from beating this outfit side. They probably felt like they were probably the form side going into the game and after the game. And both sides have had a bit of a break. I just think, obviously, the talk of the town is the battle between Marcus Miller and the Tank. I mean, I think that's the one that people want. But I mean, Ayame is back. I mean, that's going to make a massive difference. But I think that Paarlgem's going to go to...
I just want to say, Cooks, not only are you saying Paarlgem's going to beat Grey College, they're going to beat Grey College at Grey College.
Yes.
Your response on behalf of Bloemfontein?
No. It's going to be one of the games of the year. Let's get that out of the way. Peter Rousseau, Helmut Leerman, coaches of Paarl Gymnasium, geniuses. But so is Yanni Geldenhuis and Bobby Joubert. Grey College at home, haven't lost since 2017 in Bloemfontein. They won't lose. It is the Marcus Miller versus Ethan Adams showdown, but for me it's the showdown between the two 12s.
Yeah.
Tariq Shambril and Baker, or Barker rather, on the side of Paarl Gymnasium, Bakes as he's known. And then also, they've both sides have got fly halves who's been through the pressure cooker this year in Jan-Hendrik van der Linden and Divan Pieters. Both have had good performances, both have had less good performances. Goal kicking has been a slight issue for both sides, so they share a lot of the same issues. The difference maker, you called it, Aya Meyer is back. Grey will get more line-out possession than they have thus far this season. What's your best attacking ball? Line-out ball. It'll bring that Grey College backs into the game. Will Paarlgem make a change at 10? That's the big question here. Will they go in the direction of young Louis Kuhn, who's a grade 11 man, son of former Springbok Louis Kuhn? Will he get his first start in that first team? That's a question that intrigues me at this stage. Will there be any personnel changes between the two teams? At home, Grey College to beat Paarlgem.
I think if you get the call right, Cooks, it's not going to be a red cap we give you next week. It's going to be a crown, because this is exciting. I'm excited.
Look, get ready.
I just want to
for the first time in 8 years to lose at home. Okay.
I just want to.
All streaks come to an end.
Yeah.
Us King Earls against Pretoria boys. They know streaks come to an end. We speak about Ike's, streaks come to an end.
I want to come up for Cooks here. It's not a ridiculous call at all. Paarlgem is a very, very well-drilled team. And then they've got a couple of superstars. So if you add that mix, you get a very, very good schoolboy rugby team. But so has Grey College. Got a couple of superstars, and for the rest, a very solid outfit. So the margins is going to be so small. I just believe the Bloemfontein factor. Remember, it's Paarlgem's first full inter-schools that they're traveling to Bloemfontein. They're sleeping over at Gerrit Dam and Colesberg in a lot of guest houses and stuff on the Thursday evening. taking that last 240 odd Ks to Bloemfontein on the Friday morning. So they'll be fresh, they'll be ready. They'll actually spend quite a bit of time in Bloemfontein because they'll be heading to Wildeklave straight from Bloemfontein. So their second side, for instance, will play at the Central tournament the next week against Vichat Park before heading over to. So they're sort of setting up base in Bloemfontein, but they'll only be there for a day before playing Grey. We're done with that one.
Yeah.
Our Grey College.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. A game that then might be even tougher to call. Down in the Eastern Cape, the Reunion Queens hosts Selborne.
You go.
At the
You go.
Rec. Queen's Reunion at the Rec. That's a tough one. I mean, that's a big one. I mean, Queens were fantastic against Parktown. Lit it up. I mean, the All Boys were even, I think, better off the field than Guijos. I've seen Selborne go down to the Rec and spoil the party on many reunions for Queens, and I think that Selborne's going to do it again.
It just depends whether you're going to be there or not.
For Queen's sake, they're hoping I'm not there. But I think Selborne's going to go down there and put up upset at the Rec.
I went Selborne this week. It didn't work out. I'm backing them again.
Okay.
I'm backing them again for the fact of, before mentioned, Reunion again. We speak so much about it. There's so much extra pressure on a home side on Reunion Day. As an away side, you sort of skip the whole party. You're outside of it, you know. And that's your motivation because you see all of these things. And yes, it's motivation for Queens as well, but it's pressure for Queens. It does not add to the pressure of the away team at Reunion Day. It's just another game for the away team.
We want to support the party.
Yeah, and you've got that.
Yeah.
And you're coming off the back of, oh my word, you know what? Selborne still has to play Affies before that. Yeah. How do they stand after that? You know, that's a massive factor. How do they get through that Affies game? Do they get through with their confidence dashed, or do they stand up after losing against Jeppe and give a proper performance against Affies? It's almost one you want to call after that game. You know, you want to say, can you give us 3 days? Selborne.
Okay, all right. Well, the 6 calls are in for the big matches coming up on Saturday, the 26th. All that action is going to be live on the SuperSport Schools app, website, and some of it's on channel 216. Will Cooks keep the red cap, or will it be going back to Sput next week? Tune in next week to find out. We're going to take a quick break now, though there's still more to come on today's episode of Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. See you in a bit.
We were lost for 3 days. I told him to ration the water, but he somehow went and drank every last drop in the first hour. I have a family.
We urge the public to remain calm. There is no leak. However, we have identified a thirsty individual who's responsible for this water crisis in the Western Cape.
You almost left Brackenfell for Waterkloof just because of the name. Almost.
Jason, is this true?
Yeah, that's true. I am thirsty.
Sure. Sure. You sure? Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yeah, man, you sure?
Yes, I am sure. Look at this thing. It's presidential. What if we get caught, man? Nobody gets caught in South Africa, man.
That's true.
Now lift. I'm sure.
Don't just be sure. Be sure. King Price in Sure. Insurance you can be sure about. Visit kingprice.co.za.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216. Now, last week, the UCT Ike Tigers travelled down to Marty's Stellenbosch for their third away final in a row. And finally, after 3 times of asking,
Are you a UCT manager?
and three times that they've played Marty's in a final, finally, they won.
Yeah, no.
And quite comfortably in the end, although I was very stressed until 5 minutes to go because with the 9-point tries and things, yeah, terrifying. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the Varsity Cup.
Is he a gecko? Because it's amazing how quickly he switches. It was Rondebosch for 6 weeks. They lose once.
Yeah.
Now he goes, Ikes, you know, because they win once, you know.
I'm no longer part of Rondebosch. I am actually part of UCT. So, and old school being very nice to us as they are. I've got my wonderful jersey. I was there in Stellenbosch. Incredible atmosphere. Marty's definitely were favourites, but probably only just. So it was an amazing match. Let's talk about some of the players that have stood out because, I mean, the Varsity Cup is such an incredible sort of stepping stone after school. There's some amazing rugby. It's always an awesome vibe. Standouts for you guys.
Got to go Makaza, first of all, into Koza Makaza. But look, he's been a standout for a while now.
Yeah.
He's a Varsity Cup veteran, into Koza Makaza, and eventually he's becoming a pro with the Cheetahs. So I thought he could become a pro last year, to be in all honesty. It was almost, for me, him this year in the Varsity Cup, he is just a level above. He's a fantastic goal kicker, and his presence on the field means so much to that Ike Tigers side. But what always fascinates me about the Ikes is how well, look, obviously they recruit as well for the Varsity Cup, but they keep that southern suburb identity very much together in the Ike sides. Look, they went to Donny Craven in the Marty's 150th year celebration, and they spoiled the party. And that takes a special team to do it. So Zolanyali was playing at number 6, former SA Schools captain, also a Weinberg man, if I'm not mistaken. So another southern suburb boy. You know, he was good there. He always contests on the ground. And they had, what's the little scrum half called? He was playing in place of Asad Moos, who's injured. He was very good as well in that final. So, yeah, well deserved. I mean, great performance.
I think to put into perspective, and Tokoza Makaza was the first person in Varsity Cup history to score 100 points in a season. And he's done it 3 times.
Yeah.
So
he's the all-time leading point scorer
exactly.
now.
Alzeden Felix, rookie of the season, and we were busy sitting around talking about him last year as a fantastic schools player. So that's really, I think, if you go from school to be rookie of the season in your Varsity Cup, yeah, you're doing something right.
It's incredible. I mean, a year ago, it feels like it was less than a year ago when Krugersdorp watched after it lit up the Craven Week, where it was the talk of the town on social media, his fancy footwork. And I think, I was looking at some of the comments and people going like, can this translate? When he finishes school, and now he comes back, still 18 years old, comes back, finishes school, straight into a Varsity Cup step. But you're not playing young guns, walks in the UJ side at 19, at 10, and yes, and UJ may have battled. So a great learning curve for him, having battle relegation at the stage, being a relegation fight, but again, still being the rookie of the season, being in those sort of battles, those feet are good in any conditions. But him being the rookie of the year, but there's a few guys, the sort of Dylan Miller guys who just finished school, Thomas Belling at Wits, and Wits had quite a few guys who are under 19 who could be playing young guns. They were playing in the end. For me, it's playing main side Varsity Cup. It's exciting for me to see kids coming straight from. Kids you see now playing Derby as a week before, then a couple of months later they're playing Varsity Cup. So it is exciting, and it's just great to see someone 18 years old, under 19, being the rookie that rocks. And man, I should watch more of his Alzeden.
Alzeden Felix is making a career out of proving people wrong.
Yeah.
He's done it in the schoolboy level. No, he doesn't have enough weight. No, he's too small. No, he's too this. He plays too deep. He does this. SA Schools. Later on, varsity player that rocks or rookie that rocks in the first year that he plays it. Who are we to judge? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The results of Alzeden Felix speaks for themselves. He's making a career out of proving people wrong.
And when players have to do that, when they prove people wrong, it builds resilience, because another player, I think that often there's that story about proving people wrong that's attached to him, is Cheslin Colby, who we will have seen in our ad breaks as a thirsty ambassador. He just when you go through that, especially talking about he's too small, he's not going to make it, and then they just keep doing what they're doing so well, can dance his way out of a cube. It's crazy.
So everybody was saying last year Alzine Felix would be playing sevens by now.
Yeah.
No, he's not playing sevens.
Are you playing 15?
He's playing 15. Yeah, or he'll be playing 15. No, he's playing at 10 as an 18-year-old in the Varsity Cup main competition. That's where he is. So everyone, including me, that has doubted his size, that has doubted his weight, that has doubted his defensive ability or whatever, no doubting anymore.
Yeah, no, I think the Varsity Cup is such an amazing competition for players after school and while they're at university. A competition we had a couple of weeks ago, well, not a festival, but another festival, Noord-Suid. We've spoken about it a lot on the show, but there's something we haven't shown you from Noord-Suid, and that was what Cooks got up to. So here's that.
What a week it's been here at the 2025 NMI Toyota Noord-Suid. Coach Cook said, I've been at the beautiful Paul Roos for 4 days of some of the best rugby that the schools and this country has to offer. The best of the North taking on the best of the South. The South definitely laid down their marker for the season. The North have got a lot of questions to answer. But we know now the Paul boys, the Paul Gims, the Ball and Landbows have made their statement. The question is, it's a long season. What's the North going to do as the season unfolds?
I think most of the kids that's been part of the tournament really enjoyed it being down here. And now it's probably been a North-South tournament, fully North-South tournament, because it was hosted here. And most of the coaches I spoke to really enjoyed it.
To the right, into the hands of XTN. He's got wheels as XTN on the inside, finds Leon Pretorius, and that is as easy as it comes. Crisp passing skills from this Oakdale team, finds a space on the right-hand side.
Having it down in Cape Town or Stellenbosch, we decided to get more schools from Western Province B section and also Boland teams. And obviously we ask a lot of the southern suburb schools that normally doesn't come to our tournament, like Rondebosch and Sachs. And you know, it was really nice to have them part of it, and I think they really enjoyed it.
He creates something.
Obviously next year we're going back to office because of the maintenance they were doing, we couldn't host it there. So you know, in the future maybe think of what we want to do with the tournament.
Oh, die swing was net te goed.
Traditionally it was North-South teams. Now we're getting, you know, teams from the Eastern Cape. You know, we had our team from KwaZulu-Natal. So it's pretty much a tournament for everybody in South Africa at the moment. We actually had teams here that was maybe not the top schools teams. So maybe that's something that can be added in the future. Time will tell.
Boys, wat kan ingooi. Oh, en Leon de Villiers is los neer. Kijk hier naar die aftappen van de Villiers. Wordt van achter gelaten, zo'n 5 meter kort van de doellijn. Zo'n naam is de stem. Joubert, hij is een stoeier van formaat. Dus Jane Joubert. En de eerste 3 van die krachtmeting. Hoe had er een van die tweede van Kruijnsig Laarschool.
We started with 4 schools and we're now at 36 schools. It's actually something that we, in the beginning, wasn't really thinking of it sort of happened by default, and it's created this unbelievable tournament, which all the kids really want to be part of, and when they come here, they enjoy. For South Africa, we love rugby, and we want to give it opportunity as much as possible to kids to play at the biggest stage, competitive teams, and a lot of the time against teams that they don't normally play against during the year. So, yeah, never know. See how it goes.
We were lost for 3 days. I told him to ration the water, but he somehow went and drank every last drop in the first hour. I have a family.
We urge the public to remain calm. There is no leak. However, we have identified a thirsty individual who's responsible for this water crisis in the Western Cape.
He almost left Brackenfell for Waterkloof just because of the name. Almost.
Jason, is this true?
Yeah, that's true. I am thirsty.
Honey, I think the courier guy's here.
Je kom mee boksen. Kibbies? Anna? Maar waar is die Anna?
Hey, hey, hey! Ik kom niet boksen, ik kom niet boksen. Hoes! Ik kom niet boksen, ik kom niet boksen.
Wow, wow! Exemos, wow! Breng van mij die box.
Okay, so. The courier guy. The courier behind the box.
Can you deliver something for me?
Where to?
Hij wees van mij, hij wees van mij. Put this one in the Springs box.
Look at man. Hey, winner.
In a world where every second counts, will he make it on time? Out here on the streets, anything can happen when the odds are stacked against you. One man finds the will, the drive, the passion to steer his path to destiny. It's a Swift.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216. It's the final part of the show where we do Ask the Ref and then play the impossible truth. Starting with Ask the Ref, we've had some questions sent in on social media. You guys have had a look through them. You've each picked one. So I'm excited to hear what you've got.
Yeah, I'll go first. And it's something I often wonder about as well. Exactly when does a maul end?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because a maul can end successfully and it can end unsuccessfully. So a maul ends successfully if the ball is played away from it. Okay, that's one way. Or if the ball itself is over the in-goal line or in-goal itself, then the maul's over, and then people can join from the side. They can do all sorts of things. You can collapse it. That's why sometimes if you're defending a maul, to get the timing right to collapse it after the ball's over the line versus before can be quite technical. Then a lot of the time the maul ends unsuccessfully, and this happens more often, obviously, and then it gets turned over. So this is if the ball carrier goes to ground but no one's collapsed it, the ball needs to come out immediately, and if it doesn't come out immediately, then it's going to be a scrum, and it's a turnover scrum, except for if the maul forms directly from a kick in open play, then it's a scrum to the team that took it in. Just because the maul's formed straight from a kick, you've got no time to do anything with it.
One more question. When that ball goes to ground, when the ball carrier goes to ground, I'm still, as the opposition, allowed to jump all over it.
No.
And lie on top of it? Not.
If you are already in contact, you don't need to move. So
Yeah.
it's not like a tackle where you have to roll away.
Okay.
But if you weren't part of the maul when
You
it went
can't.
down, you can't dive on it. That's actually a penalty. So
Right.
if you're in contact with the ball and it's a maul,
You
it goes
can-
to
you can
ground,
stay
you
right
can
there,
stay
you
there,
can
you can
lie.
hold on the
Yes.
ball, you can make sure it
Yeah.
doesn't come out. And also, if the maul stops once, that's your first warning. If it stops a second time, you need to use it immediately. If it doesn't come out immediately, that's also an unsuccessful end to the maul.
Happiness.
Cool.
Mine is advantage is something that drives me up the wall as fan, ex-coach, ex-player, and now I can spend my Sunday as a sport here. It's was inspired by Milnerton with a drop goal yesterday. If you have advantage and you go for a drop goal but it's unsuccessful, do you lose your penalty advantage?
You're saying for a penalty
advantage,
So
yes.
if it's a scrum advantage, you'd lose it because you've gone for that kick. But
Yeah.
a penalty advantage, no. Even if you're going for a drop goal, and I think I'm trying to think. I know the Springboks did it. I think Alton Yankees did it at some point to beat New Zealand. He made it. He made the kick. But yeah, you might say, well, you've tried to score, but the drop goal is harder than kicking off a tee. So no, you'll come back for that penalty. And yeah, then sometimes going for the drop goal, and when you miss, then you've got another attempt. So
Yeah,
I
it's
can see why
sort of
teams
a
do
free
it.
shot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a free
It's a free
shot,
shot,
basically.
okay.
But no, you don't lose it.
As a goal kicker, you pray the drop goal's over because then there's no pressure on you after that to just. So I mean, if one of your tighties grab it, he's like, just kick it.
And you look so much better with the drop goal.
Yeah,
So it's pretty.
no, for sure.
Yeah, and then that's also something I think. You've got me thinking about the drop goal. Something people don't always remember is that if you miss the drop goal, it's a 22-meter dropout. It's not like if you kick the ball dead in open play where you can also have the scrum.
Yeah,
That's just sometimes some people.
Yeah,
forget to
but
make me
it's
think of that.
not for us to remember. It's for you. You're a ref. Please just remember it
It's a
when you're
lot
on
for
the
us
field.
to remember. I'm glad I wasn't involved in the Bulls URC match this weekend where they went to uncontested scrums because what happens and when you lose a player, there's a complicated matrix that you have to remember. Luckily, we don't have to in school rugby. But yeah, that's Ask the Ref. Impossible Truth time. I am 5 from 6 at the moment.
Yeah, Alex is flying.
Well,
as well.
today you're dropping one.
Good. Lead the way,
All
partner.
right. So the famous Witbull that Affies brings to the stadium when they play at Boereplaas, and they travel with it, by the way, to Bloemfontein as well on the back of a bakkie. It's a life-size Brahman bull. That was a 1998 woodwork project of the matrics of Afrikaanse Hoërseun School.
We were at the King Edward Easter Rugby Festival, and I thought, let me touch on some of the alumni. Malcolm Marx, Springbok hooker, back-to-back World Cup champion. Played flank for King Edward and hooker for the Lions, Craven Weekside.
Oh, you guys have got it's a tough one this week, I'll be honest, because first of all, Sput, your fact is extremely believable because you commented on Affies this week, but you did that last week, and then I said, oh, I knew it was this because you commented on it. So I feel like this week you've changed something that's probably close to true, but maybe it's not that year, or it wasn't woodworking, or something, or it's a double bluff. I don't know.
I think you better just think carefully about this one, Alex, because definitely I haven't mentioned that in commentary.
Yeah.
The Witbull. I might have mentioned. You know what I did mention in commentary?
You're confusing me. Stop.
When it was first used, when it was first at Boereplaas at their home game, and that was in 1998 against Waterkloof. That was the first time the Witbull came to Boereplaas.
And now the thing is, I'm like pretty sure Malcolm Marx went to King Edward's, and then I'm still doubting it. Okay, so no, I'm going to stick with what I originally felt was that based on last week and this week and the bluff and double bluff. So I'm going to say that Cooks is true.
Jeez. Like I wish you could just get it because you like about
because you know it.
Like factual.
He's had one. He's had the referee one.
And I thought this was the time we have him. The thing is, we are trying up. I think I figured out the plan. We're coming up with all these facts and this guy is going, no, but Sput said this. He didn't even think about like the school or the Witbull. Like,
the thing is that it's the impossible truth. They could both be true. They're both super believable. That's the game.
So I'll give you the story.
Tell me
here.
the story about the Witbull.
So the Witbull wasn't manufactured at Affies at all. It was actually a Brahman bull that they brought over from Loftus Versfeld. the 1998 matric group, painted it white before that fixture against Waterkloof, because it was actually sort of that blue-grey colour, the blue bull, you know. And they brought it over from Loftus-Versfeld in 1998 for the first time against their arch enemy those days, Oorskol Waterkloof.
So they'll bring that down to Bloem this year?
They put it on the back of a bucket.
Yeah.
It looks like a real live bull being transported. It's tied with ropes. I've actually seen a photo of it on the back of a Hilux. Goes to Bloemfontein.
That's amazing.
And, when you look at Affies, I need to see this football.
I need to see it in person
as well. You talk about, I was saying to one of my colleagues on the weekend, like some of these schools, like especially the Afrikaans schools, some great nicknames. And the Witbuller. Every time I see Affies, I'm like, the Witbuller.
And there's always that story. I know we're supposed to finish off, but there's, and I have to say it, remember, Affies is not the only
Witbuller.
Monas as well. People sometimes refer to Oakdale as well as the Witbuller, although they actually just die Bulle, but they play in white. But Affies and Monash share the Witbuller name, and there's always the chats of who was first and who's the original Witbull. And that's not for me to judge, or not for us, but it's, you know, that Affies Witbuller and the Monash Witbuller, it's become synonymous with both schools, and it's actually, it's fantastic.
We could do a whole show, a deep dive on where all these nicknames come from. I'm glad that they changed Malcolm to Hooker then, because for the good of the nation and the country, that turned out to be a very good decision. Listen, guys, just to wrap up, we're sitting here at beautiful St. Stithians as part of the Standard Bank Easter Festivals this weekend. Schools have come from across the country, but also from across the world. Hartbury College from the UK actually beat Bishops over the weekend, but then quite a few schools from our neighbour, from Zim.
Yeah, Peterhouse is here, as is St. John's College Harare, and it's amazing to see them. And you know, we often think that our rugby playing neighbour is only Namibia, you know, but we forget quality rugby players out of Zimbabwe. Guys that have done the Springbok jersey a lot of pride. They came from Zimbabwe originally. So many South African sportsmen that have sort of gained worldwide recognition as South Africans were actually from Zimbabwe. I mean, one of our very best golfers in South Africa, Dean Burmester, lived in Zimbabwe till he was 14, and then moved to Bloemfontein. So it's great to have St. John's College and Peterhouse here, and then also Windhoek Hoërskool from Namibia. They've got another very good rugby playing school in Windhoek Gymnasium, who every now and then comes to one of the Easter festivals. I think we want to see more of it.
No, definitely. I mean, saw the St. John's Harare side before they took on Michael out. By far, the loudest cheer of the day on Thursday was when St. John's Harare got their try. And regardless of the scores and the results, it was just fantastic seeing the parents, the number of parents, the number of support there. I mean, they had no contest with the Mzansi side who can be the loudest. And it's just fantastic to see. And more of it. And hopefully we might find ourselves that we can go up there for a derby.
Absolutely amazing. Now you're speaking my language. Now you're speaking my language, because the thing is, I want to be there.
Yeah.
And I think we need to
take the show international.
Take the show international.
But also show their rugby.
But are you allowed to go out the country?
Yeah, the ban's been lifted.
Okay, sure.
I'm allowed to
see.
But you can only go to Bloem for the max 2 days. The festivals, you get different parts. Like, wow, we get accreditation for the festival. Spooks an accreditation to leave Bloem.
That's all we have time for today on Rugby on 216. Remember, there are those 6 picks locked in between Cooks and Sput. So we'll see what that does to the percentages next week. Will Cooks hold on to the red cap, or will it go back to Sput? Tune in next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. to find out. This has been Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. We'll see you next week. But for now, bye-bye.